What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Exit Light. My name is Jackson Tate. I'm here in person with Colin Rudis, also with Zach Ellis and ZDG, and we are finally back behind the mics for another episode. It's been a long time. I think the last time we recorded, we were driving in a car. That's not true. We were here. We were in person in the same corner, but the time before that, we might have been in a car. Uh, but the point is, we haven't been behind here. We've been a little bit busy through fall semester and through the beginning of the spring. But it turns out that once basketball season actually ends for Virginia Tech, that it actually works out for us to all four be back in person for the first time in a pretty long time. So, um, that being said, let's just jump right into it. We just said that it's been a long time. We've pretty much gone through. It seems like every emotion possible from uh, football, basketball, and now into our spring sports, and we're kind of riding the coattail of some success, but a lot of failure. Um, and honestly, we're just talking about like how did sports do and like catching up. Um, and the question that I'm going to leave you guys with to start this, since we haven't talked in a while, is like, what is your opinion on the way things have gone this year? Like how do you think things have been good? Do you think things have been bad? And just let it rip. ZDG, you're up.
Well, I guess it has been a while. What has it been like? End of August before the Vanderbilt game, where we all four were collectively here. Sorry, my bad. Um, that was okay. So I guess we'll start there. So football, I got on here confidently and said it was going to be a smooth 12-0, maybe even more than that. And I think we couldn't have been more wrong. I mean, dude, what the hell, man? It started off horrible in Nashville, and then was it the Marshall game was right after that, came back, and if Marshall was like just more conditioned as a football team, probably lose that game. What happened after that? We went to ODU and scored what, like maybe 20 points in the fourth quarter, finally
Yeah,
pulled away.
they had blue
And then
jerseys
they came
on.
back and dropped a dud to Rutgers. Oh, they had blue. Okay, yeah, that was a problem. They had blue on. But overall, with the football team this year, big letdown. I don't think anybody kind of foresaw Kyron Jones playing that way. There's arguments that he was injured for half the season, but even before that, there was like a lot of balls where you're like, dude, like he doesn't miss that throw. And he like last year, what the hell happened? And then I don't know, I think what we used to call a drone strike last year, we saw it like was it the Pitt game, the whiteout, like when he was just throwing like 50-yard like air
Syracuse.
bombs. It was like really got that trend going. Syracuse,
I
is that what was it? Yeah,
you're
so
right.
I
It's
think we only
both of
saw like
them,
what,
but
Wait,
but I
Syracuse?
mean,
I
like we
didn't think
only
we
saw
played
like
them
Thursday
last year. I don't
Thursday
remember that
night.
game.
Yeah, you weren't there. You didn't make it.
No, wasn't Syracuse on the
rest in
road?
peace to the
No,
man.
this past season, yeah, the year
Oh,
before. Keep going.
Um, Yeah, no. So I mean, I think they only had like one of those like insane like go balls, as you could say, and that was like at Vanderbilt, and that's
It was
when
Ollie
who caught that
Jennings,
ball? Was it
dude.
Felton or Jennings? Yeah, but he was like wide open because the
I was
safety
about
just
to
Yeah,
say
forgot he
that
dude,
was
was right
playing
nobody
in front
football
of
caught
that
us, but
day.
I guess he wasn't there.
So,
True.
um, uh, I don't know. I think football is just a huge disappointment. They didn't pay attention to the offensive line, which we knew, but we kind of tried to downplay it a little bit, but it was still pretty terrible. Let's see what else happened. Oh, well, are we just staying with football? Or are we just what are we
Just
staying with?
talk.
Just
We
talk.
know
Well, I
you
mean,
love to
I was going to give
blabber.
Ellis a chance to talk about football before we.
Fine, I'll go.
I,
I'll
I, I'll,
go.
I'll let Zach talk
I'll
about football
go.
for a minute first. I mean, we
I'll
can
go.
circle
I'll
back
talk
to
about
mid score.
football and basketball. I got one word. Ass.
All right.
Ass.
Ass.
Just like Toby said.
Said it twice.
They said Tech was going to be ass, and they were ass, but not as ass.
Not last place. They projected last place, so technically he wasn't wrong.
All
They
right,
were.
that's it. Go ahead.
I'm just
Ellis.
gonna say they were not projected last place, but they were projected to be what Colin said. Um, I honestly, my vision for this was kind of not to spend too much time on this one part because we all know it's not good. The answer is bad. Um, I guess it's interesting. We had such high expectations. If we were to take it from the beginning of, like, let's talk about July last year or this past year, and we were talking about what are we most excited for, what is going to be our most successful sport this season. Every single person would have been like, football's going to be good. We talked about it. We were, I mean, other than Ellis, who had like temperate expectations, we were all thinking they were going to be real good, like real good college football playoff good. They were not. Um, that's a massive letdown. I don't want to say men's basketball and women's basketball were letdowns, but it's just kind of like for what has been like the turning point in the last couple seasons of like football has sucked. It's finally basketball season. They're going to save our year. Did not happen. It feels like Blacksburg has just been doom and gloom this year, in my opinion. Kind of from afar, it feels like everything, not everything, but it feels like a lot of things have sucked. And maybe that's because of they're the sports that you look forward to the most, and that the sports that you, like the most people go to watch have not lived up to the expectations of what was established during the offseason or what has happened the past couple seasons. It's kind of just been frustrating. I mean, I wrote these stats down from you, and I think they're a little bit interesting. Men's basketball was projected to finish 14th. They finished 10th. Women's basketball was projected to finish 12th. They finished 8th. Those are like arguably and objectively good turnarounds for both of those teams. They exceeded expectations. They had better years than what people thought they were going to be. But for a men's basketball team that is 3 seasons removed from winning an ACC championship and a women's basketball season that is 2 seasons removed from going to the Final Four, it's like, damn, like what happened? Where did our teams go? And it's kind of like, we how many games did we go to basketball games did we go to together this year? Zero. And how many times did we go to basketball games the last 2 seasons?
A lot. A lot.
Yeah. I mean, we're driving 15 hours one way to go to Final Fours, and now we don't go to a single game. I feel like that's just telling. Everybody. I drive up as much as I possibly can. I went to every football game. I went to 3 basketball games total this year. That's it. That's crazy. And I think it's just a signal of kind of just frustration and kind of. I don't want to say like I feel bad saying it's a letdown. Like I don't think they exceeded expectations, but it's just terms of everything. It's like damn.
I think it's hard to have expectations. Like I remember James and I sat down and looked at that men's basketball schedule after we lost. Who did we lose
Yeah.
to? Jacksonville. We looked at that and we said we maybe have 2
Facts.
ACC wins. And Mike Young led us. So would you
Yeah,
say
they
10?
finished 10th.
8-12.
Like we had a incompetent, to say it nice, basketball roster. And Coach Young did what he did. Pat, we love you. We understand the business. Shout out, bro. But women's basketball, did we have any
No,
expectations?
nobody
for that?
knew it was going to happen.
Exactly. It was a successful season. We're just spoiled with the success we've had recently, and it's clear that we're behind in the
Yeah.
NIL game.
Honestly, you just segued perfectly into I think what we're going to end up talking about next. And so, looking back on this last year, and Colin or ZDG or either of the three of y'all can start. But where do you think Tech fell short? And obviously, the easy answer is just to say we sucked. I understand that we sucked, and there's no reason to go into the ins and outs of why football finished 6 and 7. There's no reason to go in the ins and outs of men's basketball or women's basketball or whatever. But where did they fall short? Where is the university falling short? What's causing the results that we've seen?
Let me start with this one point real quick. I got told by a very smart person and very trustworthy person that a 6-6 football team that goes to a bowl game gets more money than the national champion for basketball. And I believe it, but that's just crazy. And it makes sense why we threw all that money into football. Like a national champion gets less than a team that goes 500.
I think there's me.
Go ahead, dude. No, go ahead.
No,
Go
I
ahead.
think
Go
there's one big
Go.
thing, and we've said it a few times. I don't even think it's necessarily a Tech thing. I think just like the NIL stuff makes such a big deal because you look at the SEC. The SEC basketball this year was levels better than it had been in the past few years. Like there's so many more good SEC teams this year, and I think
14 teams made the tournament of 16.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah.
They were never that good. But now NIL is just there's so much NIL money going to those schools because they're all good at football, so they all get more money. So then they have a ton of money to just spend on whatever. And now they got good basketball, good football, good everything essentially. You can't necessarily blame Tech on that. If they have obviously nowhere near the money, but
No, you're right.
I mean, that's true, but I don't know. I feel like when you think about Blacksburg, you think everybody says the Blacksburg community and everybody's so tight here and all that. I think everybody's just what's the word like just being like okay with as long as they have their family here and they play under Sandman. Who the hell cares? I think that's everybody's just okay with being, as you say, Jackson, just mid. I mean, yeah, they'll be like, oh, it's so cool that we went to the Final Four a couple years ago, but I feel like at the end of the day, everybody's just gonna be like, yeah, like that kind of sucks, but maybe the coach will get us back on track. And there's just no accountability, to be honest. I mean, there's nobody really being like, damn, like I fucked that up, like I fucked this up for us. We did not pay attention to
Dog.
the offensive line. There's not. There's no accountability, bro. There's none. There's
I-
none. Everybody here in Blacksburg.
That's not what
Let
I'm
me ask
referring
you this
to.
though, because you're saying accountability, like you're thinking like the mindset of Hokie Nation in general is just okay with being trash at stuff. Is that what you're trying to say? Or are you saying like,
mid. As long as they're okay, as
well,
long as we are just there,
I mean,
like it's
we
okay.
thought,
That's
I don't.
dude. There's nobody is up in arms. There's nobody up in arms. There's nobody calling for
I
heads.
don't.
There's nobody calling for anything. Everybody's just
I don't know if I
okay.
agree with that though.
I'm confused on your accountability part.
What do you mean?
Like we fired our DC. We let our OC walk.
That's a
Screw
good
him.
choice, but
Like we
Dude,
made the good moves.
Okay. Well, okay. So, behind closed doors, which we've all heard the same thing, and as you said, Ellis, they've given a lot of money to football. Is it really just factor cap that they gave a bunch of men's basketball money to Kyron Drones to stay and not transfer to LSU? Is that factor
I'm
cap?
willing to bet you based on
Because
you based on the people that you saw walk from basketball last season, and the fact that our women's basketball team head coach left because of lack of resources. I'm willing to bet you that's pretty true. I think the writing's on the
because
wall
if
for
it's
that.
true, because if that's true, that's what I'm saying. Like
So
nobody has stood up and
accountable
like,
for
damn.
that. But that's not
I
Hokie
fucked that
Nation.
up.
That's Whit Babcock, and that's what I was going to say. It's Whit's
See,
fault.
that's what I do. Hokie Nation has to be able
Look,
to stand up.
you want to talk about
you suck
look,
ass.
the last question on the document says what caused the results that we have seen. We can't blame the landscape for something that everybody else is fighting against, right? Like, I mean, Clemson, Florida State, NC State, whoever, they are fighting the same stuff that we are fighting. The only difference that we have is that Whit Babcock makes trash decisions. He pulls all the money away from the sports that we've been using to build our brand, puts them into football, which objectively, don't get me wrong, is the right decision. I think we all agree it's the right decision. We needed to put that money into
100%,
football. And we said that all fall. That if they're not gonna be good at football, they're not gonna get into another conference. They're not gonna raise themselves up down the stretch, right? We understand that. But you can't do all of that, wipe out your other programs, take everything down the hill, and finish 6-7. You see it in so many different ways that the success levels of the athletic department, stemming from football, men's basketball, women's basketball being in a different era, has kind of trickled down into the crowds that you see at games. I'm willing to bet you that the football crowds this next season aren't as good as they were at the beginning of last season. And I'm hopeful that when the women's team plays in the invitational tournament next week, or this, I guess, Thursday, that they're going to have pretty decent crowds and people are going to remain excited. But it's been telling that things have been a struggle this season because people just haven't shown up, and people on social media and people in general just seem kind of doom and gloom, like I said earlier. But when you talk about like the reason why, I don't think anybody can disagree that it's just poor decision making. Like I was saying earlier, if Tech goes out and goes 10-2 in football, then not a single soul is upset about the lack of performance from men's basketball this season. And they're not upset that we let Kenny Brooks walk because of lack of funds, right? Because football's back and they did what they needed to do, and the brand is going to continue to increase. But that's not the case. You had 6-7. Brent Pry didn't do stuff. He was right on his clipboard the entire season, right? And I don't know about football the entire season, and they finished 6-7, and they lost their team again, and it's the same issues. The defense still sucked, and are they trying to make changes for this next season? Sure, hopefully, but the moral of the story and like the end all be all is that we were still terrible. And I don't know if you say you want accountability. I'm not. I'm you can't hold me accountable. You can't hold Colin accountable. We went to every game. You know, we went to as many games as
It's got
possible,
to start at the top, dude. It's got to start at
right?
the top. It's got to start at the top. Whether that's with Whit Babcock, you want to go all the way to the top, which technically
I agree
everything
with
flows
you.
through him.
And
But
we don't
I
honestly
mean, I don't
we
know.
don't even need to
I agree.
keep beating this. I think we all agree that it's just like, damn, if we need this next season, we need these decisions to be right. And if they're not right, then I think it's time for us to go in a different direction. But unfortunately, I think from the top of Virginia
It's
Tech,
been time for that
like
for a long time.
Tim Sands down, I don't think they care about athletics. I think they're fine with being like you said, mediocre. They're good with it. As long as we're putting 20,000 more kids in dorms and we're building more drone cages and we're, building more campuses in goddamn Arlington, Virginia,
Yeah.
then yippee ki we're fine, right? But at least we're 6-7 in football and we have a head coach that won't stop clapping. So enough talking about the past and talking about what hurt our feelings and made us depressed all athletic season. Let's talk a little bit about women's basketball. Unfortunately, women's basketball was the first team out of the NCAA tournament. But on the bright side, if there is a bright side, that means they're the number one overall seed for the women's basketball invitational tournament, which is replacing the WNIT this season. Um, Virginia Tech plays North Carolina A&T on Thursday, and then they have the ability to kind of make a run through the bracket, get a postseason tournament win. Um, obviously it's disappointing because all season they were, kind of sitting there on the cusp of making the tournament, and that would have been a massive win for Megan Duffy in her first year at Virginia Tech. But despite a couple of unfortunate games, unfortunate calls, a couple injuries, and just things that didn't work out. They find themselves on the wrong side of the door by one spot. But in terms of the WBIT, what are you guys excited about? How do you think Virginia Tech's going to fare against NCAT? And kind of what the bracket looks like. It is in your packets if you guys want to look. What the bracket looks like moving forward, and what you guys think for VT.
I'm not going to pretend to act like I know anything about the teams we're playing. I don't know anything about A&T. What is it, Wyoming or Texas Tech?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Win that? Yeah. Florida has a losing record, and UNLV, I don't pretend to know anything about them. So
I just saw that Florida has a losing record. That's actually hilarious.
Yeah. I remember watching like the SEC tournament. They were in the first weekend and lost. And the fact that they got an NIT, like that's another SEC bias. Woohoo. Losing record. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know how like the committee loves Ivy League so much that you're putting 2 at-large Ivy Leagues in over us.
Ivy League gets 3
I don't
bids,
understand
which is
Princeton.
ridiculous.
I didn't find anything that like told the reasoning as to why that happened. But I guarantee if Rose isn't hurt against Syracuse and we win that game,
Or if
probably
Rose doesn't get
tournament.
ejected for the other girl throwing a push against Boston College.
Like, did the committee take that into account? Probably not. They just probably looked, saw we lost, and moved along. Like, it is disappointing because our expectations got exceeded.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not
Dude,
mad at all.
it's like if this was like if this is where they played all season and they barely missed it, and that's where they were scheduled to do all season, that would have been fine. I would have been like, damn, that's it. They did the job. But the fact that they were going to make it, should have made it, and things out of their control made them miss it pisses me off. But not like at them, but like for them,
I think I'm more frustrated that we were the first team out. Like, if we were the 4th 1 seed or one of the 2s, I wouldn't care. I'd be super excited. It's just a little disappointing because of the situation that it was.
It's just like it's not a letdown because of anything that they did. It's a letdown because like you want to be in that tournament, obviously, and it's just like you were so close that it's frustrating. I cannot believe that Florida has a losing record.
I'm also
So does Boston College.
Boston College has a losing
They're in there
record
too.
I don't like the scheduling of this tournament. Why are you having this opposite of the men's tournament? Like, have it on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday kind of thing.
I agree.
Like, not the first weekend of
I agree.
March Madness. Like, schedule it at your own time so you can get viewership. Yeah. Honestly, anyone who's not a Tech fan or a UNC A&T grad, who's watching this game? Like, you're going to get no viewership.
I mean, to be fair, and let's speak objectively here. anybody that's not like a very very big Virginia Tech women's basketball fan and follows them and watches every game, they're not coming to these games because they schedule them at the same time as the biggest sports day of the entire year. And that's is that like that mindset between men's and women's basketball changing over the last couple of years? Absolutely. Like if this was a tournament game, there would be not a single soul like watching the other games because we'd all be at the game. We'd all be in Castle. But I think it's just the fact that I agree with you. It's poor scheduling. They should have played these games. I think I understand the second round probably needs to be on a weekend because they have to travel. But the first round should be like Wednesday. They should play that Tuesday, Wednesday, or Wednesday.
Isaac also made a good
Yeah.
point. It's on
The
ESPN
first three
Plus.
rounds.
Like if people don't have that
The first
subscription,
3 rounds are
then
ESPN
how are they going to
Plus.
watch
And
it?
then the quarter or the
Semis
semis
are
are ESPNU. The finals are ESPN2.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Talking about Virginia Tech though, and you guys can chime in if you want, but I think Tech's going to beat North Carolina A&T pretty handily. As far as I'm concerned, they're not fantastic. They're a Colonial Athletic team. 1911 is not a terrible record, but that league's not good. Um, the only way I see them winning is if Tech just doesn't show up. If they don't want to be there. But I doubt that's the case. They have a bunch of seniors that obviously are playing their last games of basketball, so they're gonna show up. The crowd's gonna be decent for us, especially for this tournament. Looking forward, I mean, I think Wyoming probably wins that game, but it is a Big 12 team, and obviously Power Conference basketball is Power Conference basketball, so maybe they'll be Texas Tech, but the bracket's shaped up for us to at least make a decent run to the quarterfinals. That UNLV team kind of scares me a little bit. I think they're pretty good from what I remember, but I don't know what you guys think.
I remember they were good last year, and I think a lot of people picked them to upset
Mhm.
whoever they were
Yeah.
supposed to play. Like they were in 11 or something, if I remember
They
right.
did. They didn't win.
If
Not last
They
year, I
didn't?
don't think.
I can't remember. I just remember
Yeah.
they made the tournament. And if the girls come out and play with a heart, I think
Yeah,
we
I
can win
agree.
this thing. Like again, I don't know much about all these mid-major teams, but the Power 5 teams that are in there don't have good records. And like Stanford, we should have beat them. Boston College should have beat them. But their potential championship matchups, not worried. If they show up, we
Stanford
win
in this bracket.
all the way bottom.
yeah, they're the
Gotcha.
2 seed bottom right
Dude, that'd be
at 16 and
Dude.
14.
Stanford and Boston College are 100% going to play each other. They're 100% they're going to be in the quarters.
Boston College beat St. Joseph.
You're telling me Quinnipiac and Albany isn't showing up?
No, I'm just saying. Nah, dude, I'm just saying.
Like
Dude,
that's the thing. This tournament is they're all the regular
champions that
season
didn't win their conference.
mid-major winners.
That's-
Yeah. So I don't know if they show up. I mean, they got something to play for. It's just I don't know about the
Yeah,
teams.
I mean, the thing is, though, it's just like you got to understand that in women's basketball, and this still holds true, that power conference basketball is above everything else. Like mid majors and men's basketball compete, and there are some mid major teams in women's basketball. You can think of Marshall being good, South Dakota State being good. Chattanooga has been pretty decent over the last couple of years that deserve their spots in the tournament and can compete, but they're not quite there. I think of Norfolk State this year. I don't know if you've looked at the bracket, but Norfolk State's a damn good team. But besides those teams that win their regular season, win their conference tournament, are really good mid-major teams, it really just drops off pretty steadily, which is why
Well, two of those teams you just mentioned lost their coach to Power
Yeah.
5 teams in the past
Yeah.
offseason. But I did see one interesting thing. If it shapes up that way, a potential Final Four matchup of us and Minnesota, you get Rose against her former
I
team.
would love that. And then she can dunk for the first time.
That'd be cool
Yeah.
for her to get to play them
Yeah.
and beat them.
It's still a Final Four matchup, or is it a? It is a Final Four. Did you notice Minnesota's not hosting? Did you see that? They're the higher seed. They're the 2 seed in that quadrant, but they're not hosting because I'm pretty sure that Minnesota is hosting hockey right now. At
What
that
for the
place.
state stuff?
Well, I don't think the states because their state championship play is played where the Minnesota Wild play.
Oh yeah.
But I'm pretty sure like the hockey conference tournaments and stuff are played there, which makes sense.
For college or
Yeah.
for
Because they're like Boston College, where they play basketball in the same place. I think.
I didn't know that.
Like if you Connie
That
Forum
would
is
make sense.
like really long. It looks like a warehouse, but that's besides the point. Anyways, let's get ready to move on for this. So we'll see as Virginia Tech plays throughout the week if they're gonna advance, if they have the capability to maybe get a championship out of this. Not really trying to hang a WBIT banner in Castle, but I would hate it compared to all the BS that we've had to go through the last couple of years or last 365 days. Sitting here thinking about the last time we did this podcast about March Madness, we were like, "Oh damn! I hope Liz plays."
Yeah,
that didn't happen. And then what happened? And then, I was editing, or not editing, but I was like cropping the video and getting ready to post it onto YouTube. And I was driving to Blacksburg that next day, and that's when Oakland beat Kentucky, or was beating Kentucky. And I was trying to find that clip because I remember I said in the podcast. And while I was doing it, we got that first report that that Kenny was probably going to go to Kentucky, and I was like, "That's it." And we were texting. I remember that group chat that night. We were like, "This sucks."
Yeah.
And then we were chanting his name in front of Castle, and he was like, and then he did a fist pump after the game to us, and then what happened? But anyways, let's get this show on the road. Let's talk about the good stuff. Best time of the year, like I said, best sports day of the year, Thursday and Friday. It doesn't get better than March Madness. This is finally March. I have the CBS college basketball theme song in my head right now. ZDG, you haven't talked in like an hour. Feels like the 3 months that you did record with us. But we're gonna let you go first because you went first last year and gave us the clip of a lifetime talking about some prehistoric figures. Unfortunately, dude said, "Ancient dinosaur man," but but ZDG, you're gonna go first. So this is the way we're gonna do it. We're gonna kind of talk about the bracket first, right? So these questions include, and you don't have to answer them in any specific way. What did the committee get right? Who they leave out? Did they do things right? Did they do things wrong? Who got screwed? That's in the tournament. Who got screwed outside of the tournament? Etc. So ZDG, I don't know if you paid attention to Selection Sunday, but me and Zach were having it. Me and Ellis were having a really good conversation about teams and conferences and whatnot. So go ahead.
Well, it turns out what they got wrong here. Remind me, the two teams that were left out was West Virginia, and who else was also left out? Is that like first?
Indiana,
was
Boise
the next
State
one.
are probably the next three.
And
Okay,
Ohio State was in there too, but
So I think probably, well, screw West Virginia. Indiana, Boise State, I probably would have liked to see one of those instead of UNC. Of course, Zach Ellis does bring a good point. It's ACC, so I guess that in a whatever way does kind of help the revenue or whatever. But I think they kind of screwed the pooch on that. I think UNC kind of showed that I don't know. I just don't think they were deserving as other people when it came to getting that last spot. I think something else they kind of got wrong was what you guys actually talked about. I didn't see this till more in depth today. The 8-9 matchup for the Bluebirds and
Blue
Elville.
Jays,
I think that's kind of
the Blue Jays, bro.
he got caught up in the blue jerseys.
Damn it.
Something about those. I like those. I like those blue jerseys and those blue birds over Elville, of course. But I don't know. I feel like that you could have. I mean, if we're being honest, I think that Pooville probably could have been a little higher up than an 8 seed. But
so since Tech sucked this year, I ain't gonna lie, I didn't watch basketball like at all. So I can't really speak on a lot other than Norfolk State being a 16. But UNC being an 11, that's crazy to me because I know one thing. I know Norfolk State's a damn good team this year. Granted, they're Colonial Athletic, but
they're not. They're the MEAC.
Are they? Oh, they are MEAC. That's right. So they're in a very.
It's a low.
I mean,
major.
with lack of better words,
that's all you gotta say.
a week.
It's a bad conference.
Yeah, it's a bad conference, and UNC being an 11 with how bad they were this year is crazy to me. I mean, granted, they're in a play-in, but still. Also, we've kind of heard the rumblings of a potential tournament expansion. I think that would be stupid. I don't think there's any reason to add more teams and to make this tournament longer than it is.
Well, I want to hit on you, and then Ellis, I'm going to pass it to you because I know you have some things that you want to talk about. But um, if you're talking about tournament expansion, and I'm not saying it's the right answer, I don't want it. I like it at 64. I think it's perfect. But if you're going to have 14 SEC teams every year, and that's going to be the new normal, then you need to expand because you have to. It's unfair.
True.
14 SEC teams, and they had like 500 like teams that went 500 in conference play make the tournament, and they're 8 and 9 seeds.
Yeah, that is
Arkansas's
crazy.
a 10. Like Texas is an 11 seed, and that's what fourth place in the ACC got. Like, did the ACC struggle? 100%. They sucked, but 14 teams of 16. That's ridiculous. It's stupid. And I'm not saying they need to expand the tournament, but I think moving forward that maybe they need to they need to cap leagues off at maybe 2/3 of teams or a certain number or something, because that's ridiculous, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, people used to talk about all this crap about, oh, the ACC shouldn't get 9 teams, 10 teams in the tournament. That's so unfair. Now you have the SEC getting 14, and you're like, what? That's ridiculous. Alex, go ahead. I know you have some things that you want to say, and I'm going to jump on you too because I think you have a lot of good points.
Here's my problem. Texas sucked. They went 14th in the SEC.
So did Xavier. They suck too.
They have one good freshman, and they have a dude with the last name Mark. That's all I know. And Shedrick from UVA.
Oh, dude, I forgot about him.
Those are the 3 players, and they got 14th in the SEC, and they got a higher seed than UNC. I'm not going to pretend like I watched Xavier this year, but the Big East is always good. And who's UNC playing? San Diego State. I know they're Mountain West team, but the problem with the expansion is the teams that were left out. You have a 17 and 15 Ohio State as the third team left out. If you can't even go 500 overall, why should you deserve to make it? And if you expand it, they're getting in.
Yeah, you're right.
Indiana stunk.
Right.
They were bad. West Virginia got left out because their best player
in
got
November. In November. They played the entire conference schedule without him.
They played the whole thing without him.
They were a lot. They were a lot better before that, but they haven't had him since November 9th.
I assumed that he got hurt recently, and that's why they got left out.
It's not a Jordan Travis situation. He got hurt in November.
That's ridiculous. So they played the whole conference schedule.
I was hoping you were going to say this because this pisses me off. I understand that Texas, Xavier, North Carolina, and San Diego State are relatively big names in college basketball. Xavier is a pretty perennial powerhouse in the Big East. Obviously, North Carolina is North Carolina. They're one of the biggest names in college sports in general. Texas is the same way. San Diego State went to a Final Four 2 seasons ago. There are a couple things that piss me the hell off with the seating and the honestly just the field in general. One, the chairman of the committee is Bubba Cunningham, who's the North Carolina athletic director. Shocker. Guess who the last team is, despite not deserving it. North Carolina.
Well.
Xavier's worse. Texas is worse.
No. Listen. Apparently, the same position for women's basketball.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently, she attended
Tech.
Yeah, but
we didn't get in, so they did it right.
How come we didn't get in?
Yeah, what the heck? Because it's Tech, but whatever. That's number one. Number two is that 100. So out of the accredited, I don't know if accredited is the right word, but of the online bracketologists that obviously Joe Lenardi is one of them, but of the 111 people that do these online brackets and do study it legitimately, every single bracket had West Virginia as a lock, not a play-in team, a lock to make the tournament, and somehow they miss. They said the committee was given their press conference after, and they said that Tucker DeVries was hurt, and that's why they factored into the decision to leave them out of the tournament. He hasn't played since November. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. That's like saying
Let me ask you this: Did they make it known that he was out for the year and wasn't
yes,
playing in the
yes,
tournament? Okay.
yes,
Do you think? Let's flash back to last year. We didn't make it known that Liz wasn't
yeah,
playing. Do you think we deserved a top 4 seed
yes.
without Liz? Without Liz, you thought we were a top 16 seed?
I mean, yeah, but I don't.
Realistically,
So
were we a
okay,
top 16? So
the
going
answer
off of
the answer
this,
is
Iowa
no. The
State's
answer is
point guard.
were we a top 16 team
Exactly.
in the country based on who we had on the roster at that point? Like obviously minus Liz, probably not. But you can't. I don't think like teams should be judged based on like the availability of players. It should be their body of work.
Well, that's the
I would
difference.
rather a team.
They played the whole season without him,
Yes,
pretty much, right?
the whole conference.
We had no idea what we would look at without Liz. Like what we played 2 games without her
Yeah.
after UVA.
Yep.
Iowa State this year, they didn't say anything about their point guard. They waited till after the tournament to say their
Yeah,
point
he's
guard's
not
not playing, and they probably got
For
a
sure.
better seed because of the potential
sure.
that he was going to play. If he
They
wasn't going to
probably
play,
would drop him to a 4 or
they're
5.
probably a 4 at
because they
least.
struggled
Yeah.
down the stretch too.
So that's crazy
Yeah.
that they played the whole conference play without him and got left out because he's hurt. That's wild.
A couple other things that I want to mention. I think we're on the same page, just kind of being annoyed with that. Carolina and Xavier both had the same quad 1 record. They had 1 win on a bunch of losses. I just can't understand. I can't understand West Virginia not making it. I also hate that the landscape of college athletics is now just like biased towards power conferences. And I understand the ACC is a power conference. But we're not really getting that. We're not really getting the benefits of that bias, anyways. But George Mason deserved to make it. They had a really good team. Boise State, I hate the Mountain West, but they were arguably really good. Dayton's really good. And thinking about if VCU didn't win their game on Sunday, they probably would have been out. And they don't deserve to be out. They're a good team. I mean, like statistically, like, and I'm not just saying that because they look good. They have a player from Virginia Tech, but they look good. They are good.
And also 3 other schools.
Whatever. But anyways,
let me say something about seeding real quick. Here's my biggest problem. My biggest problem is Louisville finished 2nd and beat Clemson twice. They beat them in the regular season and the tournament. You know where my heart lies with Clemson. How is Clemson a 5 and Louisville an 8? That just logically makes no sense. They beat them both times they played them. You got Clemson as a 5 seed. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 SEC teams ahead of Clemson. Clemson lost, I want to say, 6 games this year. 2 to Louisville, which we already mentioned, crazy. In overtime, I think, to Boise, who we just said is a really good team. In triple overtime to Georgia Tech, which, triple overtime. We'll say lose to. South Carolina. Yikes.
If you're upset that they're an 8, what were they ranked like in the poll? Like what, 19?
Louisville. James pulled this up. Louisville was ranked 13th. I think it was Anders actually pulled it up. Okay. 13th.
All right. So are you mad
that a 13 was either a 4 or 5 in the last? Yeah, because 10 years.
Maryland's a 4. Maryland's a 4, and they're ranked like what, 11?
I don't understand why Clemson and Louisville.
I think it's just a bias against the ACC, in my opinion. Like it's just like. They might have had a good strong end of the season, but they're playing the ACC, so none of the teams they actually beat are good, which is BS.
Well, here's my other thing. Kentucky's at 3. Clemson beat them.
What did Kentucky do last season?
I want to say Louisville barely lost to Kentucky.
Yeah, they did. That's barely.
How is Kentucky?
Can I talk about seeding though? Like, I mean, I agree with everything you said. How is Michigan a 5 seed despite winning? Despite winning the Big Ten, UC San Diego gets screwed because they're playing a hot team, and somehow Wisconsin's a 3.
Now there is a problem with that. Every year there's a team that's hot and wins their tournament and loses first round.
Us, yeah. Wisconsin's a 3. Wisconsin struggled down the stretch. They got better, but weren't great. 3 seed. Michigan State is Michigan State the 8th best team in the country right now? I think they're better than that.
No, but
I'd argue that
I
they're
forgot
better.
the other loss that Clemson had was Memphis, who's
Yeah,
also a
facts.
5. Not a bad loss at all.
There's a couple. There's a
In
couple other
overtime.
ones that I think are annoying, but that's fine. We can move on. Yeah, looking at the bracket, there's a couple things I wanted to say, but yeah, but I think the big ones are. I mean, what Colin said earlier, Norfolk State being a 16, Norfolk State deserves to be more than a 16. They should have been a 15, I think, in my opinion. Not playing a 1 seed, but if there's going to be a 1 seed to lose this game, Norfolk State's going to beat them, or not. Not saying they're going to beat them, but we'll see. Let's get into the fun thing, and ZDG, we're once again going to start with you because
Oh my god!
this is how it goes.
I gotta
But
think.
so we're talking about picking upsets, right? What teams do you think are going to? What teams do you have going on long runs? Is the way we're going to start this. This can be like obviously we're going to talk about our Final Four, so don't hit on your Final Four teams. But what teams maybe dark horses, and we'll classify dark horses as like your typical power conference teams that are in the field that might not be picked to win the tournament that you see potentially having long runs. ZDG go.
I think, like I stated, I think Creighton. I mean, they're a 9 seed, so I guess if you had to go off like just like seeding, that could like maybe make a little bit of a run. I like them in that area. I think Auburn's lost 3 of their last 4, so I feel like they've kind of cooled off a little bit. Creighton's playing really good basketball. I think beating Whoville would kind of give them that momentum to go in there and see what they could do against the top seed. And then they'd run into Texas A&M. That because I think A&M will go to the Sweet 16, but I think Creighton's probably a dark horse that I would take as of right, like in that area. But maybe St. Mary's again. I know, was it last year or the year before where people kind of had them going on a bit of a run? I don't know. St. Mary's, bro. I got a feeling. Got a little bit of a dinosaur pick there.
What does that mean?
Maybe
explain to me what that means. Like, give me a like an English definition of what extra dinosaur.
So I broke it down. I actually broke it down. So we classify it as dino
Okay.
mode, right? So that's when like a team that maybe you see in like a movie from like back in the day that like used to be good, or just something that sounds old, now they're relevant. So maybe St. Mary's is gonna do that. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
I don't know
I
either,
don't really have a big dark horse right now. I don't know. What did you say? Colorado State? Is that what you said? Is that what you said earlier? I don't know. Maybe that said they were hot. I mean, they're green. They're not blue. They have an advantage there.
Colin, good.
Sorry, I need to take a second there.
God.
Like I said earlier,
from the...
I didn't watch basketball like at all this year. I don't know. I feel like I haven't watched Kansas at all, but I think Kansas could go on a run just because they're Kansas. Okay, well, I don't know. No, they're gonna do it. Y'all are gonna shake your head. No, they're gonna do it. They're gonna do it.
They wear blue.
I'm just
They
gonna
have too
say.
much blue.
I'm
Too
gonna
much
say.
blue.
I was texting you earlier, but I was watching this podcast last year to try to write down like the organization for it, and there's a clip of me like going on a long tangent. I'm just yapping everybody's ears off about how Nevada's going to go on a long run and Nevada's going to do all this, and then there's going to be no other Mountain West teams except for Clemson or except for New Mexico who's going to beat Clemson. And Colin immediately after I finish is like, "You're dumb. It's funny that you say that because Clemson's going to the Final Four." And sure enough, they were like a basket or two away from getting there.
Yeah.
And I had to put that on Instagram after that because I didn't know ball. I was in last place on our bracket group. But
Kansas plays a lot of red. They're going to play a lot of red. Red is dead. Blue is better. They're going to beat red.
It's a crazy color match.
They're going to beat red. All right. They play Arkansas. Then they're going to play St. John's. Then they're going to play Texas Tech. They're all red.
They're not touching St. John's. They're not touching
All
St.
red.
John's.
You just said Creighton is going to go to the Sweet 16.
Okay, that's
They're blue!
that's a viable pick.
They're not going to be all red.
St. John's.
They're not beating Auburn.
St. John's has the head of the mob as their coach.
That's cool, and he's gonna go home in the second
It's
round.
Rick Pitino.
No, he's
Yes, he
not.
is.
No, he's not, dude. If there's anybody in that quadrant that's gonna give Florida a run for their money, it's gonna be
It's
St.
Kansas.
John's. Let's be real with
It's
ourselves.
Kansas.
Norfolk State.
No,
Norfolk
it's not.
State.
No, it's
It's
not.
Memphis,
No, it's not.
realistically.
I feel like Skip Bayless
It's
right
Memphis.
now. No,
Do you
it's
know what
not.
they lived through in Memphis? It's Memphis.
Oh my God, Memphis? Yeah, we went there. I took us
you
there
took
to
us to the
visit.
wrong spot.
No, we didn't go to Memphis. We went to South Memphis.
Yeah.
Isaac, keep this in here. Keep this in here.
We went to the
Everybody
Lico
needs to know
Stowe.
that okay. St. John's is going to the Lico Stowe and getting a celebratory drink after they put belt to ass over
And they're
everybody in the
washing-
West.
They're washing
Belt
their
to
uniforms at the laundro mat. Right across the,
Yes,
right across
exactly.
the street.
So actually, they lose in the second round.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No. Go ahead.
Ellis, go ahead.
I kind of rushed through some of these picks right
That's fine. We did
before.
last year, too.
So every year there's a game that I say if this team wins, they're going to beat the 1 seed, and that's how I feel with Louisville. I think if Louisville wins, they beat Auburn. But with that being said, Creighton's going to win. That happens every year. Michigan's a team that is hot, and if they can stay hot, they can go on a run. But I don't think they'll stay hot. I think Maryland has a chance to beat Florida. You got that stud freshman down low. If Rodney Rice can shoot well, that could be a good one.
Nope.
This guy's a hater.
Nope.
And here's my problem. You know my homer side. I have Clemson in the Elite Eight.
Oh my God! Here we go.
Here's my problem though. Their other starting guard broke his hand against Louisville, and I think that's gonna hurt him. Or maybe no, he broke it against SMU and didn't play against Louisville. And if they had him against Louisville, they would have won. I'm still picking Clemson to go to Elite Eight.
Oh my God!
Experience wins. Experience wins in March.
Transfer there.
Experience wins in March. It happened last year. They found the positions that they had holes at. They restocked. Houston always blows it in March. Clemson's
No, absolutely. I'm not going to sit here.
Can I say something? Can I say something?
Jackson.
Can I tag something onto to that statement? What if they don't play Clemson, or what if they don't play Houston?
We'll get to that. Oh, if they
Yeah.
don't play Houston. Oh,
Who else
Gonzaga.
are they gonna
Yeah,
play?
you're talking about a 8-9 seed that might be the one.
I can see that
Gonzaga
too.
has not missed the Sweet 16 since like 2015.
I can see it. And if that happens,
Okay.
easier path for Clemson.
Continue,
Because
keep going.
Houston has great defense. So that's what makes me worry with that ball handler being out. But if they play Gonzaga, it's Ravs.
What else?
Nah, dude, give me Houston out of the Midwest, belt to ass over
100%.
everybody.
I'm
Nobody's
with it.
touching them.
I'm there. If anybody, it's Tennessee.
I mean, dude, Tennessee even as cold as nah, dude. I actually, yeah, okay. You know, yeah. That's a great point, dude. Not that it would happen. Well, actually, no, it could happen. If Tennessee saw Clemson, dude, they would absolutely on them. Like, not even a challenge. Who the does Clemson play? Dude, Tennessee. I just watched Tennessee play Florida, and who else they played the day before that? Alabama. Did you know that, dude? It's not even close, bro. Their offensive efficiency is through the roof. Clemson's not touching them. If they saw them.
Is that really how you talk after one beer?
Yeah, can we bleed out
water?
Can we?
You're gonna have to have you're gonna have to find like an entire third down. Like, it's that one game where they had like 4 third downs in a row. NC State 2 years ago, they kept having third downs, and it was the Joker and the Thief back and over and over and over. It's gonna be ZDG.
All right, Jackson, pick your.
Let's move on to Cinderella's. What are we doing?
Pick Cinderella, Jackson.
That's it. It's gonna be his entire freaking soundbite. I want to hit on Gonzaga real fast. I think Gonzaga is going to beat Houston in the second round. That's going to be one of the best games of the tournament if they end up playing each other. Last year, I talked about the trapezoid of excellence. I don't know if you know about that, Ellis, and I just showed Colin. So the trapezoid of excellence is basically
Is this your Oakland take?
Shut up. Shut up. At work.
Hey,
It wasn't wrong. I lost the rest of the bracket, but I got that one right, and it was clutch. Um, anyways, trapezoid of excellence is basically like it's a matrix showing like pace of play. So like obviously like how many points you score and how fast based on your net like your net adjusted efficiency rating. And the teams that have really solid paces of play and are like their net adjusted rating are good, then you can kind of see who's going to be good in the tournament. Gonzaga and Houston are both in that trapezoid, and Gonzaga is a little bit higher. I think Gonzaga is going to beat Houston. I think they're my mid seed that's going to make a chance. It's going to make a run. Um, I agree with the Maryland pick. I think Ole Miss is going to make it to the Sweet 16 because Iowa State is missing. Do you see this on the screen? I think Ole Miss is going to make it to the Sweet 16. I think Iowa State missing their point guard is going to cause them to. It's going to cause them to not go as far as they want. They've struggled down the stretch. And I agree with you. I think Clemson has a really good shot to make a run as well. I think Clemson's an underrated team. Unfortunately for you, that probably means they're going to lose. So I'm sorry about that. Just for saying it. But let's go to Cinderella's and Colin. We're going to start with you because we let ZDG start and he goes on tangents. But Cinderella, which means like 11 to 16. What teams do you think are going to make a run? What teams can make a big upset?
I'd say my Cinderella's probably McNeese.
Did you see his eyes? He said shit.
No, I'm just kidding. Realistically, I think VCU. They're a solid team. I don't know Jack about BYU, but they play out west, so there ain't no way they're as good as the teams out east. Then they go.
It's crazy.
I mean, it's facts. Then they would go on to play old Isaac's Badgers. They're going to handle them.
They're trash.
Wisconsin sucks. Then I think they would run into either St. Mary's or Bama. I think Bama. I don't think they fare well in that one. I think Bama's a really good team. But, I mean, I think if anybody has it, VCU has that legitimate chance.
ZDG?
You know, I don't really know if there's a solid one I like here, but you know what team's got me feeling really, really nicey right now? I'll tell you who's got me feeling really nicey. I'm going to stick with Colorado State.
Let's hear it. Oh,
Colorado
shocker.
State's got me feeling really nicey right now. You know why? Because they have that great green in them. You know what? There's no blue. Even though they're out west, you know, maybe they don't suck, okay?
Dude, I don't even know where they are in the bracket because I haven't written them down once.
They're getting smoked by
They
Memphis.
play Memphis.
That's
Hey, you know
where they
what?
are.
The only reason I have them like even as a Cinderella is because they don't play Florida until the Sweet 16. So that's where they're.
What did I say
If that
about
happens.
Memphis? That's who they play first round. They're getting smoked.
Yeah, John
They're
Morant
getting
is all
smoked.
up on that.
Yeah. They don't have a shot. They're dead.
A lot of the analysts, this is a problem. That hot team of Michigan, UC San Diego, a lot of people are talking about upset pick.
Yeah.
And I saw a TikTok, you know, all these wannabe big dogs who make these videos. It would say Michigan, I knew it was coming when watching the video. Michigan has the second worst turnover ratio ahead of Virginia Tech. So I knew that was coming. I could see them going on a run. Interesting game. I don't know if I have the balls to pick it. Yale over A&M. Yale beat Auburn last year. That could potentially happen. Another one I don't know if I have the balls for. Iowa State without their point guard. Maybe Lipscomb goes on a Sweet 16 run. I don't know much about him other than previously they've been
And they're in
good.
Nashville. Yeah.
Are they?
We walked by it.
Nice.
That's right.
I don't think I asked.
You probably don't remember it. Fair point.
Me? Whatever. Drake.
Drake.
I could.
Damn, we're going to
Drake.
list the whole thing? You can take all mine?
Yeah.
Damn,
Drake.
we had a
Drake.
couple. Damn.
Drake.
When right before the bracket came out, I said there's one team that I'm picking to win. They're like to go to the Sweet 16. And they got a thug manager who's a dog.
It's a mirror. It's a mirror.
Shout out other managers.
It's a mirror.
And I said, McNeese is beating whoever they get matched up with. And then we're sitting on Selection Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Clemson gets that 5.
Dude.
I go, oh no.
Dude,
no.
You said the same thing last year. I don't know if you remember this. You said,
Yeah,
no,
I said
last
McNeese was
no,
beating
not even
Gonzaga.
this. You said last year. You said Wisconsin's going to lose to whoever they play in the first round.
Oh,
and it was JMU.
Yeah, that's right.
And there's a whole clip of you being like,
And I
damn,
couldn't do it.
I can't do it.
I couldn't do it.
And
So I'm
they
sitting
lost.
there, and I see Clemson as the 5, and I go, oh no, don't be McNeese. My heart dropped. McNeese is not the Cinderella this year. It's VCU, like Colin said. Their defense is
lost.
great. BYU's the team. I watched their game against Iowa State, and it was a straight shootout. I think Iowa State hit 13 threes, and BYU shot 18 of 36 from 3. Shot the lights out. I see a tweet from Barstool Iowa State saying they do this just to shoot 5 of 30 in the NCAA tournament. That's going to happen against VCU. VCU's defense is great. And then they smoke Wisconsin. Wisconsin
Word.
sucks.
Dude,
And then that Bama one, that's an interesting game because Bama will just shoot and shoot and shoot and not play defense. And eventually they're going to beat VCU just because they make more threes. But shout out VCU.
I thought you were about to keep going and take my pick, which somehow out of all the ones you listed, you didn't get to my pick.
Oh, High Point over Purdue. High Point over.
All right, well, that's going to do it for us on Exit Light.
Clemson over High Point to go to the Sweet 16.
Anyways, they're both Pep. I'm going to sit this one out because Zach Ellis just took all of my picks. San Diego's going to beat Michigan. Drake's going to beat Missouri. Drake's going to also beat Texas Tech. Drake. Not Kendrick.
Drake.
Damn it. You hurt my feelings.
Omaha.
Omaha's not winning. Omaha's not winning versus the mob boss. The mob boss might lose
Kansas
in round
is,
2,
though.
according to you.
Yes.
But they're not losing to
It's
Omaha.
a fact.
Don't be surprised. Don't be
Wofford over
surprised.
Tennessee. Shout out.
Don't be
Old Mike
surprised
Young.
if Akron beats Arizona. Every like 3 or 4 years, a MAC team wins in round 1. It's been a couple of years. Akron, watch out for them to beat Arizona. Arizona played their hearts out against Houston for the Big 12 title, came up short. Don't be surprised if Akron wins that game. Don't be surprised if St. Mary's beats Alabama in the second round. I think St. Mary's beats Vanderbilt. That gold team from Nashville's not winning shit. Those 2 bums.
Those white boys from St. Mary's choke every year.
Yeah,
not
but
winning nothing.
this year's different.
They're not beating Bama.
We talking about MJ Collins, Mr. 250,000 himself,
Yeah,
Snake.
he's a real good shooter. Do you want to go back to that jumper? And
Screw
my,
MJ.
and
Still hate him. Shout out his mom though. His mom's cool.
My big pick was going to be High Point over Purdue. I think High Point beats Purdue, but I don't think that they beat Clemson. I think Clemson's real good. I honestly think Clemson's underseeded, and like I said, that means they're going to lose. But Clemson's a potential Final Four team. Remember, like you said last year, like there are always that random ACC team that goes on a run. Clemson was it last year.
Mm-hmm. I called it.
Clemson.
Told you it's gonna happen.
Dude, Clemson has a shot to do it again. And like ZG said, if Louisville beats Auburn, they're also going, and they're going to be 3 or 4 teams.
Yeah.
Which leads us.
You know that sign that Colin made for what was it last year? Charlie Cream
Yeah.
Learn ball.
Jackson Tate knows ball.
Facts. Learned ball. Jackson Tate learned ball because I didn't do it last year.
Well,
I had to learn.
Yeah, he had to
I had to
learn.
learn. I
First.
finished last of everybody. We had a 27-person group, and I finished dead ass last.
hey, I finished last in James's.
Didn't I call NC State going on a run too?
Isaac did.
I swear I said. I
I think we all
yeah.
did. DJ
Anyways, Remember DJ Horn flipped us off at the Portsmouth? Anyways, all right, we're gonna wrap this up real fast. We're gonna hit Final Fours. ZDG, you're gonna go first once again. Give us your Final Four and your champion. List your Final Four and then who you have winning. Go.
Sorry, let me get this back up here. So, gotta be honest. Final Four out of the West, I'm taking Florida. Out of the East, as much as I really don't want to, I think they're just playing, as Jackson would say, the trapezoid of excellence. I think I got to take Duke out of the East.
They
Man,
weren't
the
even
Midwest.
in the trapezoid.
They are.
They're literally at the top of it.
Dude, they are literally.
Dude, they're so
literally
far
at the
ahead
top.
that they're just not in it on your screen.
Yeah,
I thought you said
Literally-
okay. You
literally
just mentioned
everybody else
Houston and
is like
Gonzaga.
straight up
Is this
back.
thing in the doc?
No,
Because I
I
wasn't.
looked it up on Twitter.
No, it's
Oh,
just
okay. Okay, I thought you were just talking about the Houston Gonzaga. I thought that's on me.
So out of there, I really like them. I could see a world where maybe out of the South, Michigan State comes. I could see a possibility where Creighton comes. I mean, even as you guys said, Whoville. I don't see Auburn coming out of there. So I don't have a lock for the South. I think it's a toss-up. I think out of the Midwest, though, I mean, I hate to say another one seed, but I think Houston's just playing really efficiently. However, they let me down before, so I will say history tells me that when I pick a team that usually chokes, maybe I shouldn't pick them again. So I can see a world where maybe Tennessee comes out of there if they really want payback for blowing it in the SEC championship. But however, that trapezoid tells me one thing and one thing only. Here's your national champion, Florida. You can book it. So we'll go ahead and take that, and yeah, we'll all be chomping our way to the winners pool.
Who do you have in in
me the-
your national championship? Out of curiosity.
Florida and Duke.
Hell no. I don't think Duke would go. I think I'll make
You
it to the
just said they were in
I
the
think
Final
we'll lose.
Four. So-
What do you mean?
So
I don't know.
Who do you have
No,
winning?
no,
Duke
so
or
you said
Tennessee?
the championship matchup. No, you just
Yeah,
said the
so
championship
Florida
matchup,
wins,
right?
so they're already in one part of it. Who's the other half? Just out of curiosity. You had
what'd I
Duke and
just say?
Tennessee in your other half. Who wins that game?
Oh, sorry. I misunderstood you. Oh, then probably Florida, Tennessee in that case, but
Okay.
I don't know. I think it's a toss-up. The South and the Midwest are a
Gotcha.
toss-up.
All right, your turn.
The South, I have Auburn. Hey. I think Marquette could make a good run, but I have Auburn. The West, I've already talked about them. Everybody wanted to shake their head no. Kansas. Midwest, Houston. East, Duke. Champion, Duke. Cooper Flag will be back. They're going to be back to their high level.
They're still.
I
good.
think they win it pretty easily.
they were good without him.
Yeah, exactly. I think they win it easily.
Wait, hang on. I forgot that Cooper Flag was injured. Hang on a second. But also Grant Nelson. Grant Nelson was injured for Alabama, and if that's the case, Nelson comes back.
Okay, but they're not
Give me
the same
Alabama.
player.
Cooper
Give me
Flag is
Alabama, dude. Give me
a
Alabama.
different level.
No, but I'm saying like Alabama scores like 91 points a game. Duke scores like 70.
That's cool. Duke's still a better team.
Okay, but Alabama plays juggernauts.
There are
and
no
also
good. There are
beat
no
Auburn.
good teams in the SEC other than Auburn that are actually good at defense.
Okay, that's also a fair point. That's a fair point.
And that's why
But-
Auburn's going to the Final Four
But- Damn, he's got such a good
All right,
point.
we're
man.
cutting all of
Actually
that.
haven't
You're
even
sticking
looked.
with Duke. Go, Ellis.
All right.
I don't have regions on my bracket, so I don't know which one's which. I think Auburn gets beat somewhere.
Yeah, in the Final Four.
I have Michigan State. I have Michigan State taking them down. I really don't know how good Michigan State is. I haven't watched them.
They're
Like, I've
they
watched
are
one
really
game,
good
maybe.
defensively. That's going to be like a 55-54 type game.
I think Auburn's immaturity is going to cost them, and they're going to get texts. They're going to let the emotions
They're gonna have to
blow out.
land the plane because they got in a fight.
Yeah, exactly. So I have Michigan State there. Florida easily in that region. I have St. John's getting upset. by Texas Tech. Sorry, CDG.
It's Kansas. Kansas is beating St. John's.
I got Duke out of that region. That is one thing. The Cooper Flag injury, watching it live, I don't know how he comes back so quick from that injury. Like, he fell from high, and the ankle twisted a lot. It kind of reminds me, I don't remember how exactly it happened, but the Justin Robinson injury, he wasn't at full strength in the tournament. If he was at full
If
strength,
he doesn't
we'd
get
beat
hurt
Duke.
in that year, we're probably a 2 or 3 seed, and we probably.
But we also beat Duke in that game
Yeah.
because he's not hobbled. He can drive.
You're right, and we also beat Virginia.
So-
we're probably. I mean, dude, we were a basket away from going to the championship game that year. Genuinely. Anyways,
Yeah. So if he's not at full strength, I think it's going to cost them somewhere, but I have them going to the championship. Every year Tennessee sucks somewhere along the road, but every year I never learn. I got them in the Final Four over Clemson. Florida Duke, chalk. I hate doing chalk, but Florida's going to win it. They're just too good.
dude,
Also, I saw one thing. Florida's best player, Clayton.
Sorry, just go. Just go.
Florida's best player, Clayton, came from Iona with Rick Pitino. He could be at St. John's. St. John's would actually be insanely good if they somehow got him too.
Yeah, but they don't have him this year, so
Crazy.
Kansas is beating him.
Kansas sucks ass,
That's
dude.
cool.
No.
They suck.
That. Stop
Hunter
that.
Dickinson's
And
he sucks. Their point guard can't shoot. They got one
I
guy.
gotta say my
that I
picks.
learned when I watched.
y'all are
Big
gonna
12.
y'all are
I
gonna
don't
see
remember
him.
his name.
I got to say my.
Y'all are
picks.
gonna see him.
Kansas.
Hey,
You
you know
said
what?
the same thing last year.
If they're talking
I don't
crap,
remember
you're the
who,
only
but you said
person.
about
You're the
somebody.
only person that has different.
Yeah,
Picks.
congratulations, Mr. Regular. To be determined,
I
but regular.
hate doing regular, but the last 2
Just- you
years,
just looked at my
regular
bracket.
won it.
All right,
Yeah, Jackson.
TBD?
Jackson. Let's hear
all
your
right.
picks,
Well,
Jackson.
let's just let's stray out of the ordinary. Should I just change mine right now for fun?
Yeah, I saw him. I'm gonna call him out if he changes them.
I had Michigan State. I had Michigan State in the Final Four over Auburn. Florida over St. John's. Duke over Alabama. Tennessee over Houston. I had the same thing as both of y'all, both of the Zacks. And then Ellis, I had the same exact championship game and the same champion as you.
I see 3 people on my
Yeah,
screen
like
right now that are gonna be real hurt.
Trapezoid. It's the trapezoid.
Chalk's. I hate doing chalk, but chalk wins recently.
Florida
Like
Florida
I
is
hated
the,
UConn.
Florida's
I
the
hated
most
Purdue.
consistent
It
team in
happened.
the country.
Well, they're
They
gonna
are. I
lose that
think
consistency.
I think
To
they should have
Kansas.
been.
That was in Memphis, actually.
Hey, Colin, let's hear this. Colin, come on, please tell the people. Please tell.
Are you gonna ask the question?
What do we tell
Who's your
people?
final
I want
four?
to do my Final Four. Why would I change? I'm standing on my picks.
All right, stand on your business. But Kansas ain't doing.
Oh my god.
You're gonna learn.
Anyways, couple quick hitters. Obviously, women's basketball is going to play on Thursday against NC-A&T. That's going to be on ESPN Plus. Softball's doing pretty dang good to start the season. A couple of SEC losses, but that's to be expected early in the season with a I don't want to say a new team, but a team that's still trying to find their identity and figure out
It's a
figuring
young
out
team.
pitching. Emma Limley is on a heater to start the season. Honestly, probably the best. She's exceeding what Keely Rochard did in her last couple seasons. 2 perfect games and 2 no hitters already. She had 4 for the season.
Should have been 4 perfect games. That Liberty one
I agree.
was a strike that
Yeah,
they caught a walk,
I agree.
and then the Kentucky one. Screw you, Kenny.
Yeah.
By the way, that was hilarious that he was at the game and she threw a no hitter. I think Lim has been so good because we're bullpen catchers this year.
Either way, wrestling national championships. Caleb Henson, the 1 seed. Couple of Hokies that are pretty high seeded, trying to get hopefully a national championship, but I don't think it's going to happen because Iowa and Penn State and all those Big Ten teams are so good. Baseball's doing
another
great to start the season. They've had a couple of frustrating losses, but they did put 14 runs up in an inning against NC State on Saturday. And then I texted your brother, and I was like, I'm willing to bet you they lose. It's a typical Tech. But other than that, a pretty interesting start to an interesting start to the spring season. We'll talk a little bit more here. Um, talk some football when spring games coming around. Other than that, we're gonna figure out what our next podcast is. But it's been fun to get y'all back on a screen together. It's been a pretty long time. Um, but other than that, we'll catch you sometime soon. I actually promise. What are you doing? I promise that we're gonna get this on Spotify. I told Isaac that the last time I saw him when we were in DC that the next time we record, I'm gonna pursue getting it on Spotify as like a congratulations, we're back. But uh, ZDG is not in simp mode currently, so he's able to record. And Zach Ellis is, Zach Ellis, and I'm currently like looking at Colin in person for the first time since December, or since January 3rd.
January 5th.
Yeah, whatever. But other than that, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe, watch us. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter. I would say join our Discord, but that Discord's dead. But it's been fun. We'll talk to you soon. See you guys in an episode around the corner. Peace.